Hello and welcome to this overnight taste challenge. It's too early to say dawn. We had a little ways to go for before dawn. But anyway, it's chilly outside. I went walking half a mile and I got more walk. I'm gonna walk a mile after this. But it's warmed up 2 degrees. It was 55 an hour ago. Now it's 57. So it's gonna get up close to 80 today. Anyway, here is Bacardi. Might get up to 80 today. Bacardi Gold. Established in 1862 in Santiago de Cuba. They started doing their rum operations in Puerto Rico in 1962 because there was a little problem with the Cuban government. There's the famous bat trying to steal all of their property, which they did steal most of it. There is the designation as a rum of Puerto Rico as part of that government-sponsored trade association, which means we know it's aged in white oak barrels for at least 1 year. And it's produced using continuous distillation through a column still. That's required. This is the most famous rum in the world. Bacardi Gold and Bacardi Superior, the silver one. It's sold at every liquor store in the world. Usually runs about $15 a bottle. So it's low priced, relatively low priced. I paid about that, about $14.99. They'll run sales on it. You can look around. They'll have sales from time to time. Not too hard to find those. Here's Kings Bay Gold, introduced in 1987. Island style gold Caribbean inspired rum with natural flavor, which I think the flavor is vanilla, but they used to import this from the Caribbean islands, but when they opened the new Glenmore distillery in Owensboro, Kentucky a few years ago, they started doing rum production there. They distill rum in Kentucky. So all of these switched from Caribbean to Caribbean style rum. And they changed the label. They used to have a pretty pitiful looking label with like a cheap knockoff of Captain Morgan. So thankfully, it went to a more dignified label with some tropical background, like tan or beige with the tropical plants. Looks nice. Doesn't look like they sell this size bottle anymore. This is just standard size bottle. See that water has evaporated inside. Now they use they only sell the big handle bottle. I guess that was a better seller, so they just went to that. It's produced by the Founders Company in Kentucky for sale at Safeway stores, and it was introduced in 1987 as a Safeway grocery store brand. But Safeway has been acquired by Albertsons companies, so it's now sold in all the Albertsons affiliates. Safeway, Jewel Osco, Albertsons itself. Balducci's, I don't know if they sell liquor there. That's some kind of Pennsylvania grocery. I guess they don't. It depends. You got to check each store. I don't know every state regulation. In California, grocery stores can sell beer, wine, and liquor. Okay. In Louisiana, grocery stores can sell beer, wine, and liquor. And most do. Not all. Most. Like 99% of them. But you'll find some oddball store that doesn't want to deal with liquor, But even convenience stores, gas stations sell beer, wine, and liquor. Okay. We have drive-through daiquiri shops in Louisiana. Just a true story. Now, you go to Texas, north of the state line to Arkansas, northeast to Mississippi, or directly east, depending on where you are in Louisiana. No liquor sales in a grocery store or a convenience store. Only at a liquor store. So you wouldn't see Kings Bay, in Mississippi, unless it was in a, like say they had Albertsons there and they had a little separate store connected to it. It's a ridiculous thing, but that's what they do. Florida, same story. Georgia, same story. So each state has their own guidelines. All right, now you can see clearly that the Bacardi is a deep and really an amber. Do they add color in, caramel color in? I don't know. They don't discuss that. I have never asked the company about it. They could be adding flavoring. You're allowed to add flavoring and coloring to rum, and you don't have to put it on the label. This one does. It says they're adding flavoring. They're clearly not adding color because it barely has any color. It's the lightest shade of gold that you could have. It's like straw. So I'll show you a little website, screen share on the website. Bacardi Gold. The Maestros de Ron Bacardi, that means the masters of Bacardi. Craft Bacardi Gold's rich flavors and golden complexion in 2 barrels. Not charred oak, toasted oak. That means they lightly toasted, like if you put bread in a toaster and you just gave it a light toast. The secret behind its unique mellow character, a blend of charcoals known to them. So they drip this, just like Jack Daniels. They drip it through charcoal, a long column of, but what charcoal do they use? This we don't know. End of charcoals, different woods. Now, if you go to Jack Daniels, they tell you up front they use sugar maple. It's a type of maple tree, sugar maple charcoal, because their opinion gives Jack Daniels a good character. It's a little bit too blown up. Okay, there you see the focus on right here. Rum and Coca-Cola, and they got a little lime. They're outside by a camper, looks like in the background. I did go to the Bacardi distillery earlier this year. Didn't take a tour because they said the next tour wasn't for 2 hours. Well, I wasn't waiting 2 hours. Expensive. And they didn't really take you inside the factory. Any kind of like take you around in this little not a train, but you know what I'm saying. They pull you around. It's on wheels, but kind of a train, but not on a track. And tell you about Bacardi. Well, they let you taste it. Well, okay. I was tempted to do it, and if they would have been having a tour right at the moment, I probably would have gone on it. But I was around the facility outside, and you can look inside. I mean, it's kind of like open factory. You can see inside. And a refinery, and you can see the big area where they got the fermentation tanks and all. This is very interesting. Huge too, huge. I think Bacardi was in Puerto Rico prior to the Cuban Revolution. I think that Bacardi factory is very old. They had expanded into Puerto Rico. I think they acquired the and turned it into Bacardi because they own Castillo, and that's been around since 1914. So they're showing people having a good time. I'm not playing the video. Once again, rum and Coke. A light golden rum with soft oak notes of dry vanilla, ginger root, and toasted almond provide a dry and slightly sweet finish. So it's dry, but it's a little sweetness. So it's mostly dry. Rich and toasted palate, nuts and butter on the nose. I don't remember butter, but okay. So then there they taking you to cocktails, and there's many that you could look at. We're not going to go through all of that, but oh, well, let's be honest. What do people buy rum for? To sip? Mainly, no. It's to sip out of a cocktail. Here's Kings Bay, $13.99, all the way through January 4th. You can see the big plastic handle bottle. Now, I noticed at one of the Albertsons affiliates over there in California, they have $12.99. $1 cheaper. The ingredients: molasses, they forgot to mention, and natural flavor, probably vanilla. About the producer, notice it does not say the Founders Company, like it says on the bottle, it says somebody else. And we all know that company if you carefully. They've got Myers's. A big handle of Myers is $36.99. Now that's a deal. But look, you can get Bacardi Gold, a handle for $21.99. That's what I'm telling you. It's not expensive. It's not expensive. Rum is generally not really expensive, you know, compared to other liquors. I mean, you know, like vodka, so much of it that the price is low. Original Dark Myers's, that's a really great one. If you ever want to try a black rum or dark brown, check it out. There's the plantation in the background, Jamaican rum. My bottle's all gone. I had a regular size bottle, but I have the Myers's silver, the clear rum, which you don't, but I found it. Bring that into play one day. Turn on the lamps. Can't wait for a day to come into play because it's too far away. Now I have to close my eyes because obviously one is much darker, and if I glanced, I would know what it is. I want to be able to taste the difference, not just look at it. Is it going to be a real challenge though? No. I say poor old Kings Bay. You know, poor old Kings Bay. It doesn't stand a chance against these premium rums. It just doesn't. It did okay against its other type of rums. You know, it's the very inexpensive ones, the Aristocrat, the Ron Pontalba, Skull. They're all like super cheap. They're like the cheapest rums in the store. And yeah, it did. Calypso did fine against those. But you start stepping up to the premium level, nah. Can't make it. It's not designed to compete with them anyway. It's designed for people that can't afford quality rum really, or just refuse to pay for it. I know people in my life that have lots of money, but they don't spend it. They'll buy everything discount. I don't know why. That's how they live. But a lot of these people I knew, they grew up in the 1930s. They're like traumatized by the Great Depression, where there was no money for a lot of people, and it's like they're thinking it's going to happen again. So most of these people have passed away by now, or close to 100 years old. But they were my grandmother grew up in the 1930s. She was like 10 years old in 1937, and like she was always like living like she was poor, you know. And it's like, you're not poor, you know. But that's her thinking, you see. Of yeah, but it's gonna. She wouldn't say it, you know, but she's thinking, you know, you could tell she's thinking it's gonna happen again, you know. So that's it. But anyway, this smells like nothing. It's not a bad aroma. It's just a non-aroma. Let's go over here. Rich. They said butter. What did they say? Butter, and vanilla. I don't know. They always give these fancy descriptions that it never really matches that, but it's obviously Bacardi. So this is Bacardi. It wins. I'm not even going to taste it yet. Okay, so this is the kind of thing where you don't have to taste it. It's not really a taste challenge. It's a smell challenge, and you got it. Can't snap my finger. Too dry. I hear a siren again. We have an emergency hospital like right over there. I think I could see the sign through the well. It's foggy today. And it's been open about 10 years. It used to just be a field with trees, and some trees, clumps of trees. And they cut it down and they built the hospital. And I've been there twice for injuries. They did a good job on my arm and my leg, but stitching it up. They call it sutures, not stitches, but we all say stitches, right? But you hear these sirens all the time. There's always something happening. Like my friend David lives right across the highway from a hospital, huge, the biggest in Louisiana, I would imagine. It's got to be, or the definitely one of the top two. And you hear sirens all day because it's what they do, right? It's a hospital. Okay, so of course we have a lot of bad wrecks around here because we have these big highways that intersect, and there's always some big smash up. And then you'll hear the fire engines and everything because people are too busy looking at their phone. And I mean, why would you want to look at the road when you're driving? I mean, that's silly. You want to look at your phone, right? Okay, that appears to be the case. Yeah. All right. All right. There's some character with this. It's not totally devoid of any character or quality. It's a little vanilla, a little rum, some alcohol, like you want to say rubbing alcohol, but you know, of course it isn't that. It's just sugar alcohol, but it's very basic. Like you wouldn't get any more basic than this because this is like I said, the cheapest rum. This is the cheapest rum in the store. All right. It's the cheapest rum in the store. It's like you go to Walmart. You look up rum and you go with the cheapest. It's going to always be Caliber or vodka. It's going to always be Caliber, which they could have called it Great Value if they had wanted to. But Bacardi is never the cheapest, but it's not expensive. It's definitely not the most expensive. Now, if you get the Bacardi 250th anniversary Grand Reserve 25-year age kind of thing that they put out, yeah, that's $300-400. It's like Jose Cuervo. That's cheap, but Walmart was selling Jose Cuervo Tradicional last week. That's the fancy Jose Cuervo, the 100% agave, silver and gold, $21.99. It usually runs close to 30. They selling it for $21.99, or they were, probably still are. But they got that Jose Cuervo Reserva Familia, that's like the family reserve. It's like $250 every day. That's more expensive than a Johnny Walker Blue Label. Now, is it worth it? I don't know. I never tried it. Not paying $250 to find out. I did that with the Johnny Walker Blue. Paid $226 plus tax. That was it cost. It was like $242 after tax. Okay, I did it. I've been there. I've done it. Yay! I bought a $200 and something whiskey. Ain't happening again. So it says rich flavor. It's hard to describe. It's like succulent, rich. There's a depth of this sweet sugar molasses. It's hard to describe. You get that charcoal that is filtered through. It's got like a char de creme brulee, but not burnt. You know, it doesn't taste like burnt sugar. I tasted a beer 2 weeks ago. It tastes like burnt sugar. And it was a famous one, Castile Donker. I've been hearing about Castile Donker for years. I was like, I got to try it. And I found it. Total Wine and More. It was $4, $3.99. I bought it. And I said, oh, this is not even good. I couldn't even argue it up to a B-. Couldn't make it. I drank it, but I didn't enjoy it at all. Couldn't even make a B-. And somebody's like, you got a bad can. I said, I don't think so. Or they said a bad bottle. They didn't realize I had a can. I said, nah, I just don't like it. I just don't think it's well made. It shouldn't taste like burnt sugar. You know, every European beer is not the greatest thing, all right? Some of them are duds. Most aren't, but some are. A real winner. I love Bacardi Gold. Some people slag on it now. You get on these review, like my page, my channel, you get on some of these other video channels and they'll dog it. They will talk about Bacardi like it is the worst trash ever made. And then they'll be doing all these antics like can't drink it, like it's making them sick. Now, come on, man. That is an act. That is not a good review because nobody, why are my glasses crooked? Somebody smashed my glasses yesterday and I had to fix them as best I could, kind of repair them, but I think they're ruined. But he didn't do it on purpose. But it's nowhere close to that. It's not trash. It's not junk. It's not terrible. It's certainly not something you can't drink. Now, all this act that people put on. Now, the good reviewers, they'll say, yeah, it's all right. It's not really my thing. It's kind of low end and whatever. And they'll say, but it's all right. And with Coca-Cola or something like that. Okay, that's fair. I'm not sitting here saying it's the greatest thing either. Sure. But to me, it's really nice. I think it's an A. I couldn't go lower than 9.3. I can't. It's got too much quality to it. It's so smooth, so enjoyable, so perfect, really. I mean, perfect would be 100, right, out of 100. It's not that perfect, but it's really nice. Kings Bay, well, I can give it a B, 8.3. Now, see, that sounds good, a B. You're like, yeah, that's a good score. It sounds good until you think about it. Okay, chip my glass. Chip the glass. But until you realize that most of the other rums you buy are going to be a B plus or higher. It's not hard to find a good to very good rum. It's like beer. You say, well, it's not a bad beer. It's a B minus. It's sort of good. Still a failure. Because if you just randomly go to a store and buy a can or a bottle, a 6-pack of beer, can or bottle, it's going to be probably an A minus at the worst. I don't know what people are thinking when they talk about it. So, to me, a B minus is basically a failure. It's not an F. F is undrinkable. You can't drink it. You'd be sick if you drink it. But it may as well be an F because you don't want to buy it. You don't want to. You're not going to recommend it to anybody. Would I recommend Kings Bay? Yeah, I'd recommend it because I said it's a B, 8.3 out of 10. If it goes lower than that, then I wouldn't recommend it. I'd say it's kind of good. But now I bought a horrible thing at Walmart. I bought that Caliber Spice Rum. That was a tragedy. That thing was $6.99. And it was about $6 too expensive. But I choked it down. I didn't waste it. It was a D. It was bad. I think I scored a C minus, but I think it's a D. It's bad when I followed it up. I tried it. I tried mixing it with stuff. It made the mix nasty. Drinking it cold, nasty. Room temperature, nasty. Any way you looked at it, it was nasty. Terrible. It wasn't even pure rum. If you look at the label, it says grain neutral spirits. Contains grain spirit. I was like, why would you put grain alcohol in rum? You say, well, that's why it's $6.99. Yeah, but this was $5.99. Doesn't contain grain alcohol. It's a weird thing though, because if you buy the big bottle, the handle of Caliber Spice Rum, it does not say distilled spirits on it. It just says rum with natural flavor, spices. So it's like they're selling two different products under the same label. Two separate products under the same label. A rum with spices and of course caramel color to make it look dark, even though it's not really dark. With spices and grain spirits. It's like, this is a joke. And I found some brandies like that, so-called brandies, at Total Wine and More. I did not buy them. It's like brandy with grain neutral spirits. I'm like, are you kidding me? Saw it on the shelf. Total Wine. Wasn't even cheap. I mean, it was cheaper than the rest, but it wasn't even that low. I said, brandy is whiskey made from grapes, basically what it is. It's like you make whiskey, but you use grape wine instead of grain. And I said, why, oh, why would you take a fruit product and add grain spirits to it? And you know why? Because it's cheap filler. In other words, you say it's junk. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm not buying it. And I'll never buy that Caliber again. I'm talking about that regular bottle of the spice. Now, Caliber Canadian, it's okay. Caliber American blended whiskey, I haven't opened the bottle. I can't comment. That's brand new. Just came out last month. Caliber white rum. It tastes good, but it's bizarre. It's a bizarre flavor. It tastes like strawberry shortcake. I don't know why they wanted to make it taste like strawberry shortcake, but that's what it tastes like. It is bizarre. Caliber tequila. No, they don't make a Caliber tequila yet. Uh, Caliber vodka I've never tried. They make a regular vodka, no flavoring added. Surprise there. And then they make some flavored Caliber. Citrus is one of them. It's got citrus juice in it, or citrus extract essence. Like they basically squeeze in the citrus rind, the skin, and getting that spray out of it, that oil, and they use that. Oh yeah, I know it's probably some old turned citrus fruit that they could never dream of selling in a store, but they sell it off to them. They got all the skins, orange peel, you know what I'm saying? No, I mean, could be lime peel, any kind of citrus, getting that that oil out of it, and they collect it and they put it in the vodka. I never tried it, so I can't comment on it, but it's probably all right. I mean, they make a few Caliber vodkas, flavor vodkas, none of which I've ever had. But Walmart sells that stuff off the shelf all day long. They'll have whole end caps full of Caliber, big displays, always cheap. I asked somebody one time on New Year's Eve afternoon. I said, "Is that a good vodka?" He was buying Caliber. He said, "No, but we're making Jello shots for New Year's Eve parties, for our New Year's Eve party." I said, "Okay." So he's telling me it's not a good vodka. I've never tried it. Apparently he had, but he was using it for Jello shots. Well, I don't know what they're using it for around here, but they sell it off. They sell it going away. I mean, they're just selling at a continuous clip. That stuff is a huge item at Walmart, man. Henry in Louisville says father-in-law got a $2,700 estimate from the BMW dealership to fix his old X1 park sensor issue in the shifter. Turned out that their hourly shop rate is $349 per hour. I fixed it in 4 hours for $25. But I'll tell you, yeah, it is off topic. But you talk pricing all the time, and that shop rate is the worst I've ever heard. Yeah, I do talk pricing. My friend David gets on me. He always getting on my case about that. He said, "You shouldn't bring up price." I said, "Why you say that? Everybody has to buy it. It's not like you're going to the store and they're giving you this stuff, right? You ever go to a liquor store and they just give you the liquor?" I haven't been there. I haven't experienced that in my life. So people are interested, want to know, what did you pay? Oh, well, in my town, we get hams for, somebody was commenting they get hams in his town for $15 a 30 pack. That's unheard of in Louisiana. You might pay $22 a 30 pack, assuming you could find 30 packs, which you cannot. I saw that Winn-Dixie has dropped the price on Pabst 30 packs. $22.49. That's cheap for here. For Louisiana, that's cheap. Other states that would be high, But in Louisiana, our beer prices aren't really very low. Our liquor prices are low. Liquor, cheap, very cheap compared to other states. Beer prices, not really that good. Kind of like high, medium, I guess. That is an outrageous price for that BMW. But I've heard about BMWs that they have a lot of, I've heard that about German cars in general, that they're really technically advanced. They got all these technical gadgets on them, but they tend to break all the time. Like they're advanced. Like we're the most technologically advanced car in the world. Okay, but they break all the time. Like during World War II, Germany had the most advanced weapon systems, but they always break. They will always break. They spend more time working on them. Instead of making something simple that they could mass produce by the thousands a day or a week, no, they're making something so complicated you have to have a scientist work on it, like a pistol. See, this pistol was so advanced. It's the most advanced pistol in the world. Okay, great, but it jams up half the time because it's more advanced than the technology that can support it. Or they had these huge tanks. They're the most advanced tank in the world. Okay, but it used 5 gallons per mile, not 5 miles per gallon, 5 gallons per mile. And it would break down all the time. Like I was reading about those Tiger tanks, the Tiger II, the great tank from World War II. Great on paper. In reality, it spend more time in a repair shop than on the battlefield. So how do you benefit from that? And I've heard about Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BMW, Volkswagen, always breaking. Now, my uncle had a Volkswagen Ghia. Remember those Carmen Ghias? Carmen Ghia. He said he said it was easy to work on. He admitted it was easy to work on, but you always working on it. Like he was constantly having to readjust things. Like it was always out of, it was like always out of adjustment. So you have to get his tools out, open the front, not the front, that's the trunk. But Carmen Ghia, yeah, you open the back. That was like the sports car Volkswagen Beetle. Volkswagen. And finally he got tired of it and he got a different car. He was like tired of working on it, PBR at Kroger is $22.99 and Total Wine is $24.99. Too high at Total Wine. Fair enough at Kroger, yes, fair price. I like that $22.49 at Winn-Dixie right now, 30-pack, yeah. BMW has the worst plastics in the entire industry, but the issue was a small broken metal spring of all things. And they wanted to charge that outrageous amount of money, $2,700. They know what they're doing. Sears got in trouble with that. Remember Sears years ago, their repair shop was scamming people, telling them stuff was broken when it wasn't. And then they were saying they changed we changed the water pump, but they didn't change it because they sent some state attorneys general sent in undercover people that knew mechanics. You know what I'm saying? No, I mean, they were going in to see her say, oh, something's wrong with this car. Oh, it's the water pump. Oh, okay. Now they put like a little tag on the water pump. And they would say, okay, we changed it. But they didn't change it. They had the serial number written down or whatever. And they say, oh, yeah, a lot of those people got it in big trouble. They deserved it because of fraud. That's stealing. I'm not accusing the German companies of that. I'm just saying that they got the most advanced cars that break all the time. That's really nice. Think about World War II. Russia made simplistic tanks, simplistic rifles, and simplistic pistols, and simplistic artillery. But there's one little thing about it. It was basic, and they produced it by the thousands every week. And it was reliable. Was it the most advanced tank in the world? No. But it never broke down. Basically, it was always working. Rifle, basic rifle, always worked. Basic pistol, always worked. Basic artillery. So they produce them by the hundreds of thousands. Here's Germany saying, look at this. This thing is a technological marvel. Well, it breaks a lot, but it takes a scientist to work on it. But, that I said that in the past. Germany, they could always see the small picture, but they never could see the big picture. Everything with them was gadgets. Like, oh, we got all these gadgets. Okay, but what's your plan for winning the war? Oh, a plan? We never thought of a plan. Okay. Might be why you're losing all the time, because you don't think of a plan. You just think of, oh, we got the gadgets. That's great. Whereas Great Britain sits down in a conference room and say, here's the plan to win the war. We draw up an outline. We'll do these steps, follow these steps. And they did follow the steps. So they won, So, and I have a uncle, my mother's brother, is married to a German woman. And he said, that's how they are. He's telling me this. He said, it's true. That's how they are. They can only see like small things. They can't look at the big picture. He's married to one. So this is his contention. I don't know. I don't have experience with German people. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. All that sideline talk. Interesting nonetheless. I remember back during the Vietnam War, I was watching documentaries about the Vietnam War. Clark Clifford, maybe a conspiratorial person. I don't know. I know he was in deep inside the government from the 1930s to the 70s. I know he was one of these well-connected people. You know what I'm saying? But he got appointed to run the war after all the other people got basically fired after the Tet Offensive, and he went around and said, "What's the plan to win the war?" Like he asked the Joint Chiefs of Staff, "What is the plan to win the war?" And what he found out was that it had never occurred to them to make a plan. He's like, "What?" Because he had experience in the Second World War where they sat down and they planned. Planning makes sense. He went to each Joint Chiefs of Staff head, Army, Navy, Air Force. What's the plan to win the war? As Pentagon. Plan to win the war? No one could give him an answer. They had no answer because they had no plan. And he told Johnson, he said, "It's over. Just get out. My advice, get out. Do what you want. I mean, I'm just an employee." He said, "My advice is to cut your losses and get out. Get out." This was his. And Johnson went along with that advice and said, "Yeah, let's throw in the towel because we put our money on a bad horse." True, they did put their money on a bad horse. But secondly, they also had no planning, no coherent concept of what to do. It's horrible, a horrible situation. And it was repeated. People say if you don't learn from history, you repeat it. Well, the U.S. government tends to repeat history because they don't learn. Okay. Another siren. Hospital, I'm sure. The biggest scam in my town is a well-known plumbing company where all their service techs are on heavy commission. They will lie, lie, lie. I don't like to call plumbers. Somebody who obviously didn't know what he was talking about, this older man, older than me, working for the termite company. They come around once a year, they treat your house and they inspect it. He said, "I didn't see any evidence of any problems." Well, that's good since I'm paying you money to keep termites away. He says, "But I think you got a sewer leak." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? What is water under the house?" I said, "Well, water collects under this house is old, it collects after a big rainstorm." He said, "Well, I smelled sewage." I was like, "What?" So I went under there and I was like, "I don't smell anything but rainwater." Rainwater has that mineral smell. And somebody at work said, "Man, if you had a sewer leak, you'd probably smell it inside your house." I was like, "I know this guy is nuts." He probably has a brother who runs a plumbing company. But I thought about calling a plumber, but I said if they come over, they're going to find a leak. You know what I mean? There's going to be a leak. There's going to be a leak, even if there ain't a leak. And they'll be like, "Yeah, we could fix that for $20,000. And everybody at work was like, "What happened? What happened?" I said, "I just wait. We had a drought this summer, conveniently, in that situation, not for my plants, but convenient. And it was totally dry. Like I waited 3 weeks and it was totally bone dry under there." I'm like, "Yeah, sewer leak. This guy's nuts." This house is 54 years old. 54? What am I talking about? 74 years old. This house is 74 years old. Oh, man. I'm so reluctant to call those repair people because they will find a problem, man. I'm telling you, you got to watch them. Oh, man. I don't even trust my friends, really, because I know a guy. Well, I don't want to get into that, but yeah. As it turns out, everything is a conspiracy. Yeah, right? What is a conspiracy? When at least two people get together to plot something. I see people plotting all the time. All right. Well, anyway, obviously Bacardi is way better, but we knew that when the video started. So if people don't watch the video, I'm not going to be offended because the whole video is a sham in a way, because let's think about what's coming up. I got Bacardi Major Laser. That was like a little limited edition product made in collaboration with a Caribbean music group. I found that for $7.99. Somebody was trying to dump it, but I bought it. What a find. What a find. There's no reasonable chance that Kings Bay is going to beat that or even compete against it. No chance. I got Bacardi 8-year, Grand Reserve 8-year. That's a joke. That's a sham. It's a wasted video. I've got the 10-year Grand Reserve Diaz, 10-year aged Bacardi. You think Kings Bay's got a chance against that $40 bottle? I don't think so. I've got what's that one from Jamaica? The signature edition. What's it called? It's a really old brand. They have a plantation in Jamaica. It's like really old. The British started that. Actually, the British still run that, but we don't want to talk about that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But Appleton Estate. Appleton Estate. You think Kings Bay is going to compete against Appleton Estate? I mean, obviously, those last 5 videos are going to be a joke and not a good joke. But anyway, I do the tournament. You know, I'm looking at college football. They got teams that are 0-9. They've won 0 games and lost 9. You say, why go to the game? I don't know. Just to go see it, see how bad it could be, like a morbid humor, you know. I remember when the New Orleans Saints won 1 game and lost 15 in 1980. I watched the games. I kept watching the games, but I'm like, you know, what am I looking at? And then one game they actually won. They beat the Jets, and then the Jets coach was immediately fired. He was fired. They were like, you're out. But that team was bad anyway. Well, they're always bad. Well, sometimes they're not bad, but usually they're bad. But I watched that game in a snowstorm. I mean, I wasn't in a snowstorm. The game was played in a snowstorm in Shea Stadium. And the Saints won. So just goes to show you, a really bad team can beat a bad team. All right. Like watching the Titans. Yeah, the Oilers doing business. Yeah, the Houston Oilers doing business as the Tennessee Titans. That's pretty grim, you know. That's a grim experience. But then you still watch, right? You said I live in I don't know, Franklin, Tennessee. And I watch it. And it's always terrible. You say they can't tackle, but they make up for that by not being able to block. All right, we all take care. Bye-bye, everybody.